Hey there, my name is Shirley. It has been a little over a year since I submitted my primary application for medical school, and I figured it's been enough time since I finished my personal statement for me to be able to look back at it with a fresh perspective and determine what I did well on and what I could have done better on. So let's get started. Gina threatened to jump out of her window. One of my most memorable experiences as a medical assistant was when a home health nurse called to say a patient planned to take her own life. I wasted no time calling Gina. It had been a while since we had first met, but the memory of our first interaction endured. With wide eyes and trembling hands, Gina had repeatedly shouted at me. She often complained of tachycardia and anxiety that resulted from her medication. In the months following our introduction, I would respond to a multitude of emails and phone calls, perform copious EKGs on her, and provide other assistance as requested. That fateful day, her anguish had culminated into a desperate cry for help. I listened as Gina vented her frustrations regarding her worsening condition, wondering if life was worth living anymore. The call ended with my offering an office visit soon, and her thanking me for my patience and concern. As a medical assistant, there was not much more I could do other than offer comforting words. My desire to help her fueled my ambition to become a physician who would be able to provide concrete relief. Coupled with my dedication for continuous growth and fascination with the complexities of the human body, I strive to become a doctor who can not only diagnose and treat patients, but also one who can educate and empathize with them. So with the intro, I definitely could have done more showing rather than telling and incorporated more visual details to provide more imagery. Another thing I could have worked on is I wrote tachycardia and EKGs, which isn't exactly something everyone knows. So I should have either explained it or taken out those terms so that it didn't confuse any readers who may not be aware of that medical terminology. In terms of what I think I did well on, I think I wrote a pretty compelling hook. It definitely captures your attention. And then if you've seen my video regarding tips on writing your personal statement, which I will link above, I said the number one tip I have for writing personal statements is to make sure that you answer the prompt. In this case, specifically answering why I wanted to pursue medicine. And I think I did a good job of that right off the bat. I explained why I wanted to be a physician, given what I would be able to do as a doctor that I would not have been able to do in my position as a medical assistant at the time. And lastly, this isn't commentary on whether I thought my intro was good or not, but more so commentary on how I felt when I wrote it. I did feel conflicted. One of the qualms that I have with the medical school application process, especially in regards to personal statement, is that the most compelling stories or reasons for going into medicine tend to involve struggles of not just yourself, but also the struggles of patients, friends, family, just people around you. You talk about the difference that you were able to make in their lives or the difference that you saw medicine was able to make in their lives, and that's what made you want to pursue the medical field. And while I can definitely understand the importance of explaining your reasons for wanting to pursue medicine, in a sense, it almost felt like I was capitalizing on personal struggles. This paragraph actually was a major reason for why I wanted to become a doctor, and that's why I decided to include it in the end. But I almost felt like I was telling a story that wasn't mine. The greatest lesson I learned in college is that ambition is fruitless without diligence to support it. Relying on motivation to study resulted in initially subpar grades. My GPA reached its lowest point when a close friend died by suicide at the end of my second year. That experience emphasized the importance of overall well-being, especially in regards to not only the physical, but also the mental and social aspects. This perspective is one that draws me to primary care. It takes multiple factors of a person's well-being into account and incorporates all of them to determine the best treatment. The following quarter, I focused on self-care and researched how to improve my work ethic. This resulted in my proudest accomplishment, finishing my last quarter with provost honors while simultaneously working full-time across 4 different jobs. Here, I think I did a good job of explaining my GPA as well as my personal loss, and the most important thing being that I did so in the first 2 to 3 sentences. Another tip I gave on my video of how to write your personal statement is to succinctly describe your struggles, but mainly focus on how you were able to improve as a result of those experiences. My friend's death impacted me a lot, and it still affects me to this day, and I could have easily written an entire essay about it, but that has nothing to do with the prompt, so I talked about it in the first 2 to 3 sentences, and then I spent the rest of the paragraph discussing the impact of that experience and how I was able to change as a result of those experiences. In my eyes, one of medicine's greatest attractions is the continuous expansion of knowledge by all parties involved. Just as physicians can impart medical advice to patients, patients can in turn provide lessons on compassion, loss, and humanity. After my friend's death, I became a CPR instructor. I may not have been able to stop his departure, but I resolved to be fully aware of how best to help should a life-threatening situation arise again. I wanted to share that knowledge with as many people as possible. Similarly, as a medical assistant, I have found that when I thoroughly educate patients, they are imbued with a sense of empowerment. This encourages them to see themselves as a proponent of their own health. As a physician, I would have the opportunity to break down a complicated procedure or disease into less frightening terms, and to discuss medications and treatment options in a way that is easy to understand in order to promote compliance. As a physician, I would not only be forever building upon my own knowledge, but promoting that of my patients as well. Here, I think I did a pretty good job of explaining how I was able to turn that obstacle into something more positive. We all go through difficult times in life, but it's what we're able to do with those experiences that make or break us. And then again, I tied it back to medicine because, as with anything that is part of the personal statement, if it doesn't relate to medicine or it doesn't address the prompt, it needs to be tossed out. My goal to become a doctor further solidified upon volunteering with XXX, an organization that sets up a monthly clinic in Tijuana. I saw patients with musculoskeletal issues that stemmed from their blue-collar jobs, and multiple cases of diabetes and hypertension that had culminated from years of high-carbohydrate diets. Although there are genetic factors involved, diabetes and hypertension are strongly linked to diet. Primary care values the power of prevention through annual office visits, when potential problems can be assessed for before they have the chance to escalate. Proper nutrition can not only play a restorative role, but can be crucial in preventing various illnesses. Thus, in addition to helping distribute medications, take vitals, and scribe at the clinic, I also encourage patients to incorporate more fruits and vegetables into their diets. Nothing special here. Many of the personal statements that I've read also discuss the importance of prevention and nutrition, which actually makes me really happy because I think those are extremely important factors in terms of overall well-being. So it makes me really happy to know that there are so many other people who also think the same way and also want to pursue medicine with these goals in mind. Volunteering in Tijuana stressed the importance of being able to communicate with patients despite differences in cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds. Spanish was a language I had initially learned as a self-defense mechanism against being bullied in a predominantly Hispanic elementary school. As I grew older, I began viewing it as a resource I could use to improve patient care. I took Spanish classes throughout high school and college, and even studied Spanish medical terminology abroad in Spain. Gradually, Spanish developed from a source of weakness into a strength that would allow me to help translate for patients. Again, I discussed an obstacle in my life, this time being bullying, and I did so in one sentence, and then I spent the rest of the paragraph discussing how I was able to improve as a result of that experience. Through my experiences, I have learned that the medical profession requires a great deal of patience, compassion, and dedication. I am grateful to have been able to promote not only my wisdom, but that of others as well. Even at the end of a stressful day, my ambition to become a physician persists as I continue to want to develop my own knowledge, as well as educate and treat patients as I accompany them on their journey to better overall well-being. Also, nothing special here, pretty standard conclusion. So overall, I think I did a pretty good job of explaining my reasons for wanting to pursue medicine and how I've improved as a person. I definitely could have worked more on showing rather than telling. This was an area for improvement that I was aware of when I submitted my personal statement. However, due to the word limit, I found it really difficult to show rather than tell. As you could tell from the video, I discussed a few of my extracurricular activities, as well as multiple reasons for my desire to pursue medicine. And unfortunately, I didn't have room to discuss a couple other extracurricular activities that I found very important in terms of why I wanted to pursue medicine. So I was trying to be as concise as possible, which generally doesn't allow for as much room for showing rather than telling. To this day, I'm still fairly proud of my personal statement. It's obviously not perfect and there will always be room for improvement, but I'm pretty proud of how authentic it still feels to this day. And obviously it hasn't been that long since I submitted it, but still, it really encapsulates my experiences and reasons for wanting to pursue medicine. I still love languages, helping others, and education. And most importantly, and this could obviously be a survivorship bias, but this personal statement got me accepted to medical school, so this essay did its job. So that was my MD personal statement. If you are also applying to DO schools, I would highly recommend that you adjust your essay to better address the prompt of why you want to pursue osteopathic medicine. You can, of course, use the same essay for both applications, and I'm sure there are applicants who have gotten in doing this. However, it would make your DO personal statement stronger if you're able to talk about specific components of the DO profession that stand out to you. Alright, that's it for this video. I will see you next Sunday, and until then, I surely hope that you take care of your health.